And speaking of Trump's efforts, his team is hard at work and held direct talks with Ukraine on how to end the war. You heard that right. On Wednesday, Andriy Yermak, the head of the Ukrainian president's office, announced on his social media platform on Wednesday that he had discussed steps towards peace in a telephonic conversation with the U.S. National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz. The conversation, by the way, came a day after the Ukrainian president said that Ukraine is ready to come to the talking table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Yermak has said that both sides discussed the next steps towards just and lasting peace. Remember, that is important for the Ukrainians. And they also exchanged views on security issues and the coordination of positions within the framework of the bilateral relations between Ukraine and the United States. He said that Ukrainian and U.S. teams are set to meet soon to, quote-unquote, continue this important work. But you see, this comes with the cost for Ukraine. On the same day, Waltz said that the United States is taking an active action to advance talks with Ukraine on the minerals deal and a potential peace deal with Russia. Washington views Zelensky's statement on Tuesday a very positive development, and according to the White House press secretary, U.S. National Security Council is also reconsidering funding for Ukraine. Remember, after that clash between Trump and Zelensky in the Oval Office, the United States had put a pause on military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine. And it seems that Trump has finally got what he wants: Ukraine to bow down to his terms, and is finally ready to take the peace talks forward, especially after that dramatic clash between the two leaders. Zelensky's statement has also been welcomed by European leaders, by the way, with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz hailing the Ukrainian leaders' willingness to negotiate with Russia. The British Prime Minister, meanwhile, also said on Wednesday that he was doing everything he could to help repair the U.S.-Ukraine ties. The French President, Emmanuel Macron, is considering a visit, in fact, to the United States with Zelensky and Starmer to meet Donald Trump. So clearly a lot is going on. The question is, will this pave the way for ending the Ukraine war finally? Of course, it's too soon to say at this point, but what is evident is that Ukraine cannot continue to fight this war alone anymore. Just look at the battleground updates. All this talk of peace has not slowed down the fighting. On Wednesday, Russia claimed to have taken control of yet another settlement in Ukraine. Its forces captured a settlement in Privolnoye. This is located in Ukraine's Donetsk region. And across the Ukrainian front line in Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson and Kharkiv, heavy fighting is underway. On Thursday morning, Russian shelling hit the Ukrainian city of Kramatorsk in Donetsk. At least 2 people were injured as a result of the shelling. And the local authorities said Russia shelled industrial zones and civilian infrastructure in the city, and that the aerial bombs destroyed a warehouse and caused a massive fire. Various regions of Ukraine have come under Russian attack since Wednesday night. According to the Air Force, Russian forces fired 112 Shahed and decoy drones as well as 2 ballistic Iskander missiles at Ukraine from Wednesday night into Thursday. Ukrainian forces claim to have destroyed 68 drones while 43 were jammed. This comes as European Union leaders are holding emergency summit talks in Brussels to discuss protection tactics for Ukraine as Europe faces the prospect of the United States cutting it adrift. On the same day, 2 people were injured in a Russian drone attack on a Kharkiv residential neighborhood. Emergency services posted video footage showing workers rescuing the people from a residential block in front of which many cars were heavily damaged by the rubble. Elsewhere in Ukraine, to be specific, Kryvyi Rih, Russian missile attack killed 2, injuring 7. Ukrainian troops are also fighting Moscow's troops in the Russian territory of Kursk, of course. The Ukrainian Air Force, missile troops, artillery units attacked Russian targets such as personnel, concentration areas of weapons, military equipment and ammunition depots. Clearly, the war has reached a very crucial point, and an end to the fighting is the only way forward, perhaps. But again, at what cost and for whom? The answer to those questions is very significant, but it's also an answer that Ukraine is not going to like. As far as Russia is concerned, it looks like they have the last laugh. On Thursday, the Kremlin said that the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's view that the Ukraine war is a proxy war between the United States and Russia is in line with the Russian President Vladimir Putin's own assessment. The Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said, and I'm quoting here, so it is absolutely in line with the position that our president and foreign minister have repeatedly expressed. We have said this repeatedly. And yes, we agree that it is time to stop this conflict and this war, quote unquote. You see, Russia has firmly rejected proposals for a temporary ceasefire in Ukraine, and Moscow is dismissing suggestions of a 1 month halt in fighting or a cessation of aerial and naval attacks. These ideas were being floated by Ukraine, France, Britain, and Russia says that firm agreements on a final settlement are required. Without all of that, some kind of respite is absolutely unacceptable. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.